The Armed Forces of the Philippines is investigating Lieutenant General Antonio Parlade Jr. for red tagging an Inquirer.net reporter. AFP Chief Lieutenant General Cirilito Sobihana confirms this Wednesday, February 10, saying the AFP Provost Marshal is taking the lead in the probe. The AFP Provost Marshal probes misconduct of members of the military, ensuring that all soldiers follow their internal regulations. This is the first time the AFP probes Parlade over his red tagging posts on his social media accounts. Parlade is under fire for red tagging Inquirer.net reporter Tech Torres Tupas. Torres Tupas wrote about the petition of jailed Aitas who sought to intervene in the ongoing anti-terror law case in the Supreme Court. Without any basis, Parlade tagged Torres Tupas' report as fake and a piece of propaganda. Justice Beat reporters, who also wrote the same story, slammed Parlade for his posts. The Health Department says there is no confirmed date yet on the arrival of COVID-19 vaccines as the country prepares for its vaccination program. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere clarifies on Wednesday, February 10, what the COVAX facility told them was an indicative date or tentative schedule, which is the second or third week of February. This comes after presidential spokesperson Harry Roque announced that the government would be ready to start its vaccination program by February 15. As the arrival of COVID-19 vaccines nears, Vice President Leni Robredo appeals to Filipinos to get themselves vaccinated against the coronavirus. In a video released Wednesday, Robredo debunks myths on the vaccination process to ease vaccine fears.
Kasi may 4 na klaseng bakuna. Wala sa kanila na ang i-inject sa'yo ay buhay na COVID virus. Ang gagawin niya, magte-trigger ng immune response para pag na-encounter mo yung real virus, alam na ng katawan mo kung paano ito labanan. So, hindi dapat tayo matakot.
Experts say the temporary side effects from vaccines are a normal sign that the body is developing an immune response. Robredo's spokesperson Barry Gutierrez tells Rappler the vice president just wants to clarify and reassure the public that the vaccines are safe after a recent Pulse Asia survey revealed that 47% of Filipinos did not want to get vaccinated for COVID-19. Meantime, United Kingdom's Advisory Scientific Committee says 2 new COVID-19 variants have been identified in England, with some similarities to the South African and Brazilian variants. One of the new variants, first identified in Bristol, is designated a variant of concern by the new and emerging Respiratory Virus Threats Advisory Group. The other, first identified in Liverpool, is designated as a variant under investigation by the group. The issue of free speech is front and center on the second day of the oral arguments on the anti-terror law held by the Supreme Court. On Tuesday, February 9, petitioners argue the addition of inciting to terrorism as a crime will have a chilling effect on freedom of expression. Associate Justice Marvic Leonan probes the claim of a chilling effect in interpolating lawyer John Molo, a law professor from the University of the Philippines. Molo represents the petition filed by retired Justice Antonio Carpio. Leonan asks Molo, how can there be a chilling effect when all of the critics are continuing to voice out their dissent? Molo explains that chilling effect is, quote, that pause in the writer as he composes his words. It is the hesitation inside the mind of the speaker because of a vague and overly broad law. Most of the petitions rely on the void for vagueness doctrine, saying the law must be struck out for being overbroad. The oral arguments will resume next Tuesday, February 16, where justices expect to finish interpellation of all petitioners. Protests spread across Myanmar on Wednesday, February 10, after the most violent day in demonstrations against a coup that rocked a fragile democracy under elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Thousands joined demonstrations in the main city of Yangon. In the capital, Naypyidaw, hundreds of government workers marched in support of a growing civil disobedience campaign. The United States and United Nations condemned the use of force against protesters demanding the reversal of the February 1 military takeover and the release of Suu Kyi and other detained leaders and activists. Meanwhile, the Philippines calls for the complete restoration of the status quo in Myanmar, where thousands defied curfews and bans on gatherings in recent days to oppose a military takeover of its government. Foreign Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin issues the country's position in a statement on Tuesday night. Locsin says the Philippines supports a fuller democracy in Myanmar. Locsin's latest position comes days after the Philippines had gone from non-interference to expressing deep concern over the military coup. In the United States, the Office of Georgia's Secretary of State opens a probe on Monday into former U.S. President Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the state's 2020 election results. Trump was recorded in a January 2 phone call pressuring Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to overturn the state's election results based on unfounded voter fraud claims. Legal experts say Trump's phone calls may have violated at least 3 state criminal election laws: conspiracy to commit election fraud, criminal solicitation to commit election fraud, and intentional interference with performance of election duties. The transcript quotes Trump telling Raffensperger, "All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is the number Trump needed to win." On January 6, the day of the U.S. Capitol riots, Trump bragged about the call in a speech to supporters.